Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our Local Marketing Industry Weekly Update, and live Q&A is going to follow the weekly update. Well, our next faculty call, again, as some of my students and listeners may know, that I'm up in Canada right now visiting family, and so coordination is a little bit different. We've got some property on an island called Manitoulin Island, and a piece of property, about 60 acres, grandfather picked up in 42. Well, there's no cell service up there, no running water, no electricity. The cabin is run off of wind power and solar, and we do have a backup generator. Now, we do have satellite internet, which is really cool. I tried to do a faculty call last year, but it was a little bit of a challenge. So I am in the town of Sudbury, Ontario. This is the town I grew up in, and come back here to host these calls. Otherwise, this is my vacation time, and you know, a lot of us on the line right now are entrepreneurial spirited, and a lot of us go into becoming an entrepreneur for a variety of different reasons. And one of the reasons why, well, the main reason why I'm an entrepreneur, I've taken the risks to do what I want, why I've sacrificed a nice salary for a period of time, and benefits and security, and yeah, you could probably hear that, kids. I just shut the door. Is the freedom, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing to me. You know, we think about it. We spend a third of our lives sleeping. You got to buy a good bed. You spend another third of your lives in walking. You got to buy good shoes. Well, what blows me away is the choices people make for their career. That's another third of their life. You spend half your waking moments working. Of the remaining half, it's all catching up with life, and what are we left with at the end of the day? A few hours to ourselves. Well, being an entrepreneur affords a lot of that, and the flexibility to be able to facilitate business in a different way, and that word freedom is unbelievable, especially being a Canadian, living in America, that America is predicated on freedom. It's amazing. It's not a free country. Do you think working for the man? Well, I'm not going to get philosophical, but that's a form of slavery. You're forced to work in our Western world. You don't have a choice, unless you want to live in Canada and live off the welfare system. It's very liberal here for that, but nonetheless, you're forced to work. You're forced to do stuff. And so that's my choice, to be able to choose when I want. And there's no price to be able to put to that. You know, I've got my agency back home right now. It's running. It's not the largest agency. It's not the most efficient agency. It's not the best agency that's out there. But our customers are very happy with us. We've got people inside that work very, very hard and do a very, very good job. And it affords me the freedom to choose to do what I want. Well, it just so happens that a lot of the choices I do choose is writing, teaching, speaking, participating on the internet in different communities, doing these faculty calls, doing coaching calls. Those are the things that really drive me. And that, to me, is not work. You know what work is to me? Having to go and deal with accounting, to go deal with QuickBooks in my agency. That's a pain in the ass. To sit there and deal with salespeople. I'm selling myself. I sell stuff myself, but having to deal with all the other crap, all the phone calls, all the emails. I'm sitting looking at my email box, and there is 226 emails after a day and a half of traveling. Those aren't the things that afford me the freedom. But nonetheless, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. I apologize. We've got a really good call here today. We made a mistake last week, and we inadvertently nailed a portion of our main list. And so we've got quite a few people on this call right now that are not paying members. And I want to take the opportunity just to share with you that you're listening to a faculty call. As you know, my name is Scott Gallagher with Local Marketing Source. We charge a monthly membership fee of $50. You get a faculty call once a week, and you get access to our private forum. Questions are answered, and a 1-hour consultation when you become a student of Local Marketing Source for your business. But nonetheless, so the weekly industry update is also something that is available through iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, and a variety of different channels. We get 4,000 or 5,000 listeners a week on the weekly industry updates, and then the live Q&A is recorded but reserved for all of our private members. And we'll spend half an hour to an hour getting detailed questions about agency operations and how to do this. Take a look at that website, screen share that, whatever it may be. Now, getting into the weekly update, we don't have any further housekeeping items today. So, what do we got here? My Mac does not like this HP printer. We're reading off of a screen today of notes. But this doesn't have a lot to do with local, but this is really cool, is that Google is now allowing you to write your search queries. Well, it started with typing, then it moved to voice queries. They had image-based queries. And so now on your smart devices, you go to google.com, you can take your finger and write a search query. Google will translate it and find it for you. I think it's kind of cool. You don't have to pull up that keyboard that comes up. You've got to go into your Android settings. You've got to enable that functionality. And I'm not able to update. So I can't see it on my Android devices, maybe because I'm in Canada, not able to get the update. It was only announced yesterday. But you will have to update your Android OS. That's kind of cool. The reason why I've chosen to talk about this a little bit is just to understand the implications. We talk a lot about Google. And what's Google doing? Okay, so they launch this simple little feature. But the fact that their PR department pushed that feature through mainstream media speaks volumes. What does that say? That's a cheesy little feature. Who really cares for it? But how does that impact local business? What is Google doing? Google is consistently trying to enhance the value of the user to make it simpler and easier to utilize these devices. By doing so, they retain market share. Retaining market share translates into dollars, advertising revenue. Start to look at a lot of the mobile aspects. This is a big deal for mobile. This is only going to make it quicker and easier for people to do simple little searches, along with Google's enhancement of the Siri comparison. Search queries are inevitably a different world. One of the challenges I've always faced with a search query is the search engine thinks like a damn engineer and it doesn't think like an individual. I remember my 11th grade. I like to share this story a lot. Teacher was Mr. Ellen. It was accounting class, some sort of business class. We're talking about accounting software, and he said to me, this is 1992, the year that the internet was born. Nobody knew about the internet back then. And he says, you want to make $1 million, become an accountant, learn programming, and go develop software. Accounting software sucks because it's developed by programmers. Fast forward a few years, 10 years, not 10 years, 8 years, 10 years, yeah, working at a software company for transportation industry developed by software developers. One of the common complaints I consistently found with my customers was, I'm trying to squeeze a round peg into a square hole. So I learned about software implementation, wrote some content on it, got an article published. It was my first national article in 2005. And I understood that the challenges are, as a business has to say, do I change my business process for the software, or do I change and customize the software for my business process? You start customizing software, major dollars, major implications to a business. You change your business philosophy and practices, well, you're going against your core values sometimes. Just to work with that. Well, Google started with that mindset. It was engineers the way they think. I want information. I'll just go into a search box and type in a couple of little words. I want to learn about Panasonic DVD player. I'll go and search for Panasonic DVD player. But what about showing me results on, and the more you know about me, I like statistics. I like factual items. I want to find the cheapest place, the least expensive place, but I also want a place that has got really good customer service. So I'm not going to buy the least expensive product. I'll buy the gives me the greatest value. Why doesn't Google give me these results? Why do I have to do multiple searches? Why can't I just go in there and say, find me the best value DVD player in my area? Give me options. Well, that's what Siri has really started to do. And that's really where everything is going, is we've talked about personalized search and different items. Well, the search engines are getting better and better every single day, and this trend is going to continue for the next decade, whether we like it or not. SEOers are done. You can argue all you want. Do you know that I just read today that there's services out there that you can pay people to remove your links? What the hell? These SEO people for the last 10 years have been trying to get links. It didn't matter where the link was from. Just go and get it. Now you got to go and remove all this type of stuff. And no, I mean, focus on what a search engine's objective is trying to achieve. You satisfy those needs, you're going to win down the road. So with this technology that they can turn around and write and make things more feasible, maybe these are items on the Android OS that would facilitate and work with a local business. So why not create mobile content? Last week's faculty call, we talked about the push of PR that Google put out about creating mobile content. And Google's stance on SEO for mobile content, by the way, is not to have a mobile website. So for all those people that are on the line right now that bought all these wonderful products out there that create the mobile website along with your other website, guess what? You fucked up. Google doesn't support that. They don't want you to do that. What they want you to do is serve different content from the same website for different devices. Why? Yeah, I'm starting to get on a rant because we're talking about display devices. You've got your 4.3 size, little iPhone, Android device. You've got your 10-inch tablets. You got your 7-inch tablets. You got your 20 and 30-inch or 20 and 25-inch desktop monitors. Guess what? You got smart TV coming. Integration with these tablets, with these other devices. What is that going to mean? Well, we're going to send a different message as a marketer to the living room than we are to the bedroom or the kitchen or the bathroom. And yes, this applies to local businesses, and yes, this applies to my students. We know as local internet marketing agency owners, there's certain niches that are very profitable. We're not going after pizza delivery companies. But you bring an attorney a good case. Chiropractor, dentist, plumbing. Services, right? Services. Service-based businesses. Yeah, that's my little rant. Who's sending me a message? Who we got? I don't know. Joey, you sending me something? Maybe I'll click the chat box here. We are good. That's the man. Google has, again, God, I got so much to share. There's just so many people that have they're new on the line today for the one time, but nonetheless, we've got a lot of changes that have been happening in the Google Webmaster accounts. And you see 3-4 years ago, Google was quote unquote anti-SEO. And we've noticed that trend change. Well, they're still anti-SEO. Search engine optimization. Basically, I am building something to be perfectly fit for the purpose of a search engine. How wrong is that? You're building stuff for a customer. And it's impossible to be focused 100% on two different items. So Google is not really being friendly to SEO. What they've done in their Webmaster tools is they've allowed a lot of tools to be able to help marketers. Now, the information and the tools that they give you are data. Yes, we can learn that data. Yes, we can reverse engineer that data. And yes, we can apply quote-unquote SEO techniques to satisfy the needs of the algorithm today. But everybody that got hit by Penguin 3.8, Penguin 3.9 was just launched, released 2 days ago. And I talked about my website. My website, scott-gallagher.net, is the only site that I've really applied a lot of SEO techniques to. It ranks very well. And our customers, we may position ourselves in the marketplace as search engine optimization as a service, but that's not what we do for our customers. Yes, the results are they get them #1. Yes, they get a lot more business and a lot more activity and visitors to the site and more phone calls. But if you go to the internet right now and you do a Google search for marketing definition, the #1 listing is going to come from AMA, American Marketing Association. You go and read the American Marketing Association definition of marketing. I don't know it word for word. I probably should memorize it. But basically, what it says is marketing is the process of creating content for customers, clients, prospects, and society at large. Content that has value, and that content is in turn distributed through different means. Holy shit, that's what we do in SEO, right? Yeah, we create an article, right? We go and distribute it to a website, right? And we get a link back to our site, right? And that's called article marketing. Oh yeah, we want to have a little bit of anchor text, yeah. So we do article marketing. What the hell is article marketing when you're spending a penny an article and distributing it to a site that you don't even monitor who's reading it, who's picking it up, who's getting the RSS feed? You create good content. Go to Google. I don't know if it's still up there. Somebody check it right now and send me a message. Go to Google and type in top 10 local SEO strategies. Boom. Last week, the top 3 listings were all my content on 3 different sites. All duplicate content, folks. It was the same stuff. Don't give me this duplicate content crap that you can't go and create duplicate content. That's proof right there. You've got the Warrior Forum that comes up #1 above my blog. Why? Because that post I put a lot of work into. And you go onto that post on the Warrior Forum, and it's just, it's one of the busiest posts on the local marketing forum. Post after post after post, there's dozens and dozens of people that are saying, Scott, this is fantastic. Thank you. And they share it, and they distribute it, and they publish it on their blog, and they get it out there. That is good content. And of course, on all my properties, whether it be the Warrior Forum, my own blog, nonetheless, I've got call to actions on there. You know how many websites and local businesses that don't have call to actions on different pages? Let's talk about services. What the hell do I do now? Call to action. So Google reveals index secrets, chart indexing of your site over time. It's another feature in Google Webmaster's tool. It's important to know how your site changes in the eyes of Google over time. Why things are indexed and why they're not indexed. I want to go check that one out. I think I had mentioned that Google pushed out Panda Update 3.9. That went out, it rolled out on July 25th, so what, 2 days ago. Doesn't affect a lot of the searches. I went and checked a lot of my queries, and I am using Google's search engine in Canada, and I'm getting really good results. I don't know at this point in time, but my suspicions are telling me, based off of the results that I'm seeing, that Panda 3.9 is improving. I never got any warnings in my Webmaster tool. Anybody that had drops in rankings, the first thing you should do, these Panda updates, is go and check your Webmaster tools, and then go to OpenSiteExplorer.org and check your anchor text. It all comes down to anchor text, and it's what the weight of your anchor text is. So if you've got, your top keyword and 20% of your anchor texts are coming in from your top keyword, well, that's not organic. You're going to get spam there. And I have a lot of that on my site. But the site improved rankings with this recent update. So it sounds like to me that they become a little bit more lenient, but at the same time, put a real twist on the industry. So I'd also mentioned that I said something about people charging to remove links. Well, here's the twist. Directories are now charging to not link to you. These directories are also out there charging $25 to remove from certain directories. So it's free to sign up. They give you a bunch of links. It hurts your rankings on Google. Then you got to pay money to get it fixed. Well, I've been thinking about this. Guys, don't you see the red lights here that Google is penalizing a whole bunch of sites in the SEO community? Don't you think that's setting people up for espionage? Holy shit, if I can just go and do a little bit of article marketing, drop $200-300, fire all these links with a single anchor text to my competitor, and boom, I'm outranking them. Google can't allow that. This is a mistake. I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm going to speculate that some of that is going on. Some people have made mistakes with a little bit too hard on their quote-unquote spam updates, and they're now tweaking those. There's no reason why a site like mine should have dropped the way it did to page 2. I was #1 for keywords like internet marketing for small business, local internet marketing. Still up there. Nonetheless. Another thing that Google has just recently in the last week allowed you to see is your most recent links. So you can see what they see in terms of links over time. Pretty cool, huh? Well, as a marketer, the way I would want to use that tool and understand that is I would have a chart and know when certain citations and when certain links were acquired on our end, and then when Google picks it up. And then what I would want to do is compare those two, start to look at a trend. Are there certain sites that our clients, because we talk about theme-related sites and local-related content. And then, of course, we get into all those details and all the hundreds of different places that you can go and get citations and web references, and then, of course, unorthodox citations and different ways to create content and distribute it. But nonetheless, when Google is picking it up at a different pattern, you may uncover with this tool very lucrative local directories and local blogs. Why you would want to do that is because on the social front, Google thinks that these are very active. You befriend these people, befriend them, get in contact with the owners of these local directories or these local blogs. Provide valuable content to them without asking for anything. And just give it to them 2 or 3 or 4 times. And once you're in, you're in. If there's one thing I learned about the United States of America, much more than Canada, the old expression, it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know. Holy shit. I live in one of the most corrupt cities in the country, probably the most corrupt state, so I've learned, Chicago. And in the political world, it's unbelievable. I mean, politicians, I know aldermen, I know some people that are involved in politics around the city, and I know what they do. It's all out of self-interest. It's incredible. The country's based off of that. So you could have a great product or service. You're never going to get anywhere unless you know the right people. It's so hard otherwise. Well, it doesn't mean you can't find those right people and get to know them. That's how it works. And so, God, I talk about networks. You know, I think networks are so important in our lives. It's just incredible. Whether it's the network in our body. My girlfriend's sick upstairs right now because her body is in balance. Her network is not in balance. There's a lot of stress going on in her life, family stress, children, traveling, whatnot, maybe foods, but something's not in balance. It's a network. You take the network that's at your office or at the school that you went to, and you start to overload that network with too many computers for the router to be able to handle it. It's not in balance. It's not going to work. You take the globe, our Earth, and we're dealing with global warming right now. You change the temperature of the polar caps by a couple of degrees, the system's not in balance. You can take wildlife and construction when you go into it. Right now we're dealing with some sort of Japanese beetle over in Illinois that's eating all the trees or something like that. And the problem is it was brought over. They're not a problem where they came from, but they're a problem here is because there's no natural predators. The system is not in balance. So networks are all around us all the time. So somebody was telling me about this God particle and, you know, the networks involved at the molecular level. Networks are so important and they require balance. And when they're not in balance, shit goes wrong. Well, I kind of have a theory that, you know, the more populous places are, we tend to create that imbalance. And when you don't have that imbalance, it almost feels like that, you know, when you get to the city and you live in the city, you don't know your neighbors. But when you're out in the country, your neighbors could be 3-4 miles away and you know them all. Why is that? I think it's because of a network that's not in balance for our own human communication. I could take my daughter at 14 years old. 50% of her communication is via text. 7%. We have the ability to influence human behavior by 7% with the words we say. I think it's something like 35% with our tone. I want to go to the store. I want to go to the store. I said two separate things using the same words. But the biggest thing we have is our physiology, 55%, our facial expressions. And my girlfriend will tell you that when she's sitting there talking to me, that I don't have to say a word, and she can get pissed off at me. And I don't blame her, because our physiology is so important. How did I get on that tangent when we're talking about recent links, looking at trends? I think the moral of this call is looking at companies like Google and understanding where they're doing, but trying to understand it at a humanistic or a realistic perspective, and then applying that to the internet marketing world. I don't know if that makes sense. I kind of lost myself. Personalized search, when was that introduced? What, 09? Google Plus, when was that introduced? Last year? Hang on a second. Get him outside now. Sorry about that, guys. We got some dogs going on. Google Plus was introduced a year ago. And we've been talking a lot about this social network, how it's comparing against Facebook, and is it really a competitor to Facebook? What is Google really trying to do? Oh, Google Plus, it's I hear it all the time. It's not the same as Facebook. It sucks in this way. Mind you, customer satisfaction is greater with Google Plus than it is with Facebook, of all the social networks. Google Plus is about a social layer. It's a social layer that's integrated into all of different Google's products. And by having that social layer, Google's able to determine what's happening on that human front, what you know, who you know, your network. You see, in 1996, Larry Page started to create the Google algorithm. It wasn't called the Google algorithm, but he looked at his dad as a scientist, and as his dad's articles got published, his authority as a scientist went up, and he said, well, the internet's the same way, in the form of links. SEO in forms of links is going to be done. It's over with, guys. Yeah, it still works today. Yeah, it's still going to work for a few years. Mark my words. It's not going to be a factor in 5 years. I've been in this business for 7 now. And somebody told me that 5 years ago, I'd say, yeah, whatever, man. Still going to focus on this shit. I hear all these other people out there selling these $97 products that are multi-millionaires doing this and that. You know, when I launched Local Marketing Source, it was like, should we put a phone number on there? Nobody else does. I'm not an information marketer. I don't sell stuff on the internet. I don't know how to do that. I don't even really want to do that. I just want to talk. But we should probably put a phone number. I come from the corporate world. I like talking to people. Let's put a phone number. Now they all have phone numbers. Not saying that they followed my trend or whatnot. But the internet is not a place to hide. It's not a place to be anonymous anymore. The more exposed you are, this is who I am, this is what I do, take it or leave it, the better you're going to do, in my opinion. The better businesses are going to do. I have a lot of business owners that are concerned about, well, what about my reviews? Guy, you run a business, you're going to fuck up. You're going to make mistakes. So be the better person and address that mistake. You know, when you go and see a review by an irate customer, they did this, they did that, they did this, they did that, then the owner comes back and says, we're very sorry for your concern. We can understand that you've been frustrated by this, and these are the efforts that we're trying to make. You read that as a consumer, you're going to be like, that's fantastic. Talk about a way of taking a negative review and turning it around. You want to know where to go and get those skill sets? You're not going to find them in a marketing book, guys. Go and buy a book about love, human relationships. Learn about words like empathy, validation, listening to your partner, what they have to say. And you know what? I know in a relationship, I may have an action that may be wrong, and it may hurt my partner. And she may tell me that it hurts. And I have a choice to defend myself or to validate her feelings. So why are businesses continually trying to run an online reputation management strategy by defending their situation? Guys, internally, inside our hearts, inside our feelings, inside our guts, we can read this stuff. And when we read that businesses validate and be accountable and make corrections, that's the way the world works. It's okay for that. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable in relationships. It's okay for business to be vulnerable on the internet. Never thought that I would ever have the opportunity to relate the relationship to marketing strategy. But it comes down to these networks, folks. And we may be living in the information age right now, in the era. I might be crazy to come out and say that we might be moving into the networking area, but networks are so important on so many different fronts. On that note, all right, now that I've walked around this dining room table 24 times, come back to my notes and see what's next. I was talking about actively discussed on Google+, now showing in Google search results. Quotes around actively discussed on Google+. This is another thing that's being rolled out. This is going to be for a fresh content type of thing. I mean, it's got to happen, right? You take a local community, what's going on in my hometown right now is Founders Day. So I'm going to go and create some content about Founders Day for my community. Well, the way the algorithms tend to work is that content's pretty fresh, not going to get indexed. But what if there's 20,000 people talking about it in the town of Algonquin, Illinois? Maybe Google should show some information about that. So they look at their social factors on YouTube, Google+, Gmail. They read your Gmail, right? They know what's going on. They know who's talking about what where. So show relevant information about that. That's a big deal, guys. Big, big, big deal. So what are local businesses to do about this? What's the strategy? For those of you that haven't heard my theory in the past, well, it's not that hard. Every business, at least when we're talking companies in the United States and Canada, every business has about 40% of their consumers that are engaged on the internet all the time, would use the internet to be able to find them and whatnot. 40%, 4 out of 10 today. That's only going to change, and it's only going to go up. So with 40% of your consumer base already on there, a percentage of that 40% are heavy hitters on the internet or influencers. You know, like that guy that goes on Yelp and has 24 reviews of local businesses and follows Yelp's rating system. You know, 85% of reviews are 3 stars or more. And this heavy hitter has got a Google Plus profile, Facebook, LinkedIn, tweets all the time, shares good stuff, offers value. A local business wants to find that customer. They're already a customer, but who is it? Who are they? How do we find them? Once we identify who the heavy hitters are on the internet, what do we do now as a local business? How do we court them? How do we encourage them and motivate them to talk about us further because they have so much influence on there? Guys, that's marketing, right? Isn't that finding your top customers? If somebody's out there and saying some good stuff about you in their world, you're going to network, man. You're going to go out there and do what you can. Take them out to dinner, right? Maybe get to learn about their husband or wife and send them a birthday card. You know, do all that nice brown-nosing type of stuff that businesses do to their top customers. We'll court them. Maybe send a donation to their favorite charity organization. Yeah, that's politics, right? That's America. That's marketing. Identify who the heavy hitters are and influence them to encourage them to participate in discussions on the internet. That recent rollout, that is what Google is telling me to do as a marketer. Facebook comes out and, you know, blatantly says, makes no sense to even begin to think about doing web search now. So in this article, I think this one was on CNN, and you know, one of their directors of engineering comes out and says, it doesn't make sense right now to do any of this. You know, there's some good stuff that's already out there. It's a little premature. You know, we're trying to focus on building some other things right now. But we're not sure what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what Facebook's solution is going to be, but I will tell you right now, Friday, July 27th, 2012, Facebook is in a better position to provide more relevant results and better results than Google. And that's their core product. It makes no sense for Facebook to not participate further in search. And we start to look at their integrations of Bing. Has anybody been to Bing lately? Go and check it out. Go do a search for a local business and see how it's integrated with Facebook on the right-hand side. It's awesome. Way better than Google. Facebook has that data. Bing is benefiting from it. On search engines discussion, Baidu. Anybody you may or may have not heard of Baidu. Well, they're a small little search engine that started overseas in India. and operate in China. I think they're in China. But they're posting crazy earnings over the last year, 60% increase year over year. None of the other smaller search engines have been able to do that. And Baidu is a search engine that's really SEO friendly. Nonetheless, as an indicator, their earnings are reflective of customer satisfaction and market share. And speaking of earnings, good old Facebook, right? I think Mark Zuckerberg, since the IPO, his value has dropped a measly $7 billion and change. Wow. Huh. Paper dropped $7 billion. What a world we live in. Anyhow, Facebook reported its first quarter earnings. They were slightly above what they expected, but investors are not happy. I'm not the most educated individual on the financial side when we start to discuss implications of IPOs and how the stock market works the way it does. It's like I got a degree in business. I took 3 years of multiple microeconomics, macroeconomics, international economics, domestic economics. I mean, I understand on paper how the stock industry works, how the economy works. Inside my gut, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Seems to be a lot of fluff, let's say, how dollars and cents are generated in the digital world. That's a whole other discussion. We take a look at Facebook and how their shares have dropped almost 25%. My gut's telling me that this is a company that is not going to do very well on Wall Street in the long run. I don't think 10 years from now Facebook is going to be the new Microsoft and be the big thing. They're just going to be operating where they were. I don't know. I don't have a lot backing that up, so I'm on a record here. I'm being recorded. I don't have a lot of support for that. It's very difficult for me to sit there and say opinions on gut, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. So having said that, folks, this is going to come to the conclusion of our weekly industry update. I'm going to open the floor for LMS students to begin asking live questions. And just as, you know what, I'll tell you, this is my sales pitch right here. This is something that I love to do once a week. You might like it, you might not. It doesn't bother me. I know there are a lot of people that do like it, a lot of people that jive with me, and some people that don't. It's the way the world works. But I spend time throughout the week, every morning, reading hundreds of different sites, trying to understand this industry and provide opinion and thought on why businesses do what they do and how it's going to impact us as marketers, as local internet marketers, to help these local dentists and chiropractors and whatnot. And during these calls, you've heard a taste of that. Monthly fee is $50 per month. You can contact localmarketingsource.com. It's a business I am involved in. There's others that are involved with that, and give it a shot. I think we even have a 30-day money-back guarantee. I'm not sure on the faculty calls. Anyhow, yeah, I think that was one of the worst closes on a call, but that's not the intention of this. I just feel that we have a lot of happy people that come on the line. So, love to be able to have more. This is what I enjoy to do. In any event, Hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves.
That concludes this Local Marketing Weekly Update, brought to you by LocalMarketingSource.com. This update is provided from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers. Visit LocalMarketingSource.com for additional resources focused on online marketing for local businesses.